Hey everyone. Um, I need you to be really honest with yourself for a second about money and success and what you actually want from your life, not what you think you should want, not what looks good on social media, but what you genuinely desire. When you strip away all the performance and all the shoulds and all the external expectations, do you want wealth? Real wealth? The kind that changes everything about how you live? Welcome back. It's Anna. And today I want to talk about something that a lot of people fantasize about, but very few people actually prepare for. The reality of wealth. Not the fantasy version, the actual lived experience of having significantly more money than you have now and what that brings with it that nobody talks about. Because if wealth is something you're working toward, if it's something you're building, you need to know what comes with it, not to scare you, to prepare you. Let me start by talking about where you might be right now. You may be in a phase currently where your income is growing, where opportunities are expanding, where you're making more money than you've ever made before, or you're positioned in a way that could lead to significant financial growth if certain things continue developing. Some people are currently experiencing the early stages of wealth building without fully recognizing it as such. They're too close to it, too focused on the next step to notice how far they've already come, too busy working to realize the foundation they're building is actually solid. It might feel like you're just grinding, just surviving, just doing what needs to be done to pay bills and build something sustainable. But what if you're actually in the process of creating something that could genuinely change your financial reality? Let's pause for a moment because this is important. This reflection invites you to consider, where are you right now in your financial journey compared to where you were a year ago? You may not give yourself credit for progress because it doesn't match the timeline you wanted, because you're not where you thought you'd be by now, because other people seem to be moving faster. But progress is progress. And if you're moving in the right direction, if you're building skills and connections and opportunities, that matters regardless of the pace. It's possible you're closer to significant financial change than you realize. Not because I can predict your future, but because there are patterns. When someone is consistently working on their value, on their skills, on their network, financial growth often follows. This reflection invites you to consider, what are you currently building that could lead to greater financial stability or wealth? Let me talk about what actually comes with wealth that people don't prepare for. It's not all positive. I need to be really clear about that. Wealth solves certain problems but creates others. It removes certain stresses but introduces new ones. Some people discover that having money changes their relationships, not because they change, but because other people change around them. People who never needed anything before suddenly have emergencies. People who were distant become very interested. People who were secure become resentful. You may have already experienced a taste of this if your income has increased at all. Maybe someone made a comment about you having money. Maybe someone expected you to pay for things because you're doing well. Maybe someone's energy toward you shifted when your circumstances improved. And if you're experiencing that now with moderate financial improvement, imagine what happens with actual wealth, with the kind of money that's visible. That changes your zip code. That puts you in different spaces with different people. This reflection invites you to consider, how have your relationships already shifted as your financial situation has improved. There's something about isolation that comes with wealth that nobody warns you about. It's possible that as you acquire more, you'll feel more alone. Not because you want to be alone, but because the pool of people who can relate to your experience shrinks. The number of people you can be fully honest with decreases. The relationships that felt equal start to feel unbalanced. Some people experience wealth as surprisingly lonely. They have everything they thought they wanted materially, but they've lost connection. They can't talk about their problems because their problems sound privileged. They can't celebrate their wins because it makes others uncomfortable. You may need to start thinking about this now before wealth arrives. Building relationships that aren't based on what you have or what you can provide. Cultivating connections with people who see you as a person rather than as a resource. This reflection invites you to consider who in your current life loves you for who you are rather than what you can do for them. Let me talk about the responsibility that comes with wealth. It's possible you're imagining wealth as freedom, and in some ways it is. Freedom from financial stress, freedom to make choices based on preference rather than necessity, freedom to live where you want and do what you want. But wealth also comes with responsibility for the people who depend on you, for the employees if you build a business, for the family members who will expect help, for the community that will look to you for support. Some people aren't prepared for the weight of that responsibility. They wanted the money, but they didn't want the expectations that come with having money. You may be someone who already feels that weight. Maybe you're already the person family comes to when they need help. Maybe you're already supporting others in ways that stretch you. And as your resources grow, those expectations will grow too. This reflection invites you to consider, how do you currently handle requests for help from others? Because the boundaries you set now matter. The patterns you establish now will be much harder to change once you have significant wealth. There's something about identity that shifts with wealth that's worth discussing. It's possible you currently derive part of your identity from struggling, from being the underdog, from working your way up, from not having it easy. That narrative shapes how you see yourself and how you relate to others. Some people lose that narrative when they acquire wealth and they don't know who they are without it. They were the one who came from nothing, or the one who's hustling, and now they're the one who made it. And that feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar, almost fraudulent. You may experience an identity crisis as your financial situation improves. It's possible you'll struggle with feeling like you belong in wealthy spaces while also feeling like you don't belong in the spaces you came from anymore. That in between is disorienting. This reflection invites you to consider how much of your identity is currently tied to your financial struggle, and what will it mean to you to no longer have that struggle as part of your story. Let me talk about the practical realities of managing wealth. It's possible you're not prepared for the complexity. Taxes become complicated. Investments require knowledge. Legal structures need to be set up. Financial advisors need to be hired and vetted. Estate planning becomes necessary. Some people acquire wealth and lose it quickly because they don't know how to manage it. They don't have the systems. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have advisors they can trust. And the complexity overwhelms them. You may need to start educating yourself now, learning about money management, building relationships with financial professionals, understanding tax strategies, creating structures that will protect what you build. This reflection invites you to consider is less than #0. 5# is greater than what are you currently learning about wealth management and financial literacy. because the skills that get you wealth aren't the same skills that keep wealth. You need both. There's something about your relationship with yourself that matters here. It's possible wealth will reveal things about you that you don't currently see. It will show you whether you're disciplined or impulsive, whether you're generous or fearful, whether you use money as a tool or as a drug, whether you're driven by purpose or by validation. Some people discover through wealth that they were chasing money for the wrong reasons. They wanted it to feel important, to prove something, to fill a void. And when they get it, the void is still there. The need for validation is still there. The money didn't fix what was actually broken. You may need to examine your motivation right now. Why do you want wealth? What do you think it will give you beyond the practical benefits? What are you hoping money will solve? This reflection invites you to consider, what are you actually seeking through financial success? Because if you're seeking healing or worthiness or love through money, you're going to be disappointed. Money doesn't provide those things. And acquiring wealth without addressing those needs will leave you rich and still empty. Let me slow down and talk about something really important. The question isn't whether you should pursue wealth. If that's what you want, pursue it, work for it, build it. There's nothing wrong with wanting financial abundance. The question is whether you're prepared for what comes with it, whether you're building the internal foundation to handle the external change, whether you're developing the wisdom to manage the complexity. Some people pursue wealth without preparation, and it breaks them. The relationships fracture. The identity shatters. The responsibility crushes. The isolation consumes. And they end up miserable despite having everything they thought they wanted. You may need to work as hard on your internal development as you work on your external hustle, building emotional intelligence, developing healthy boundaries, cultivating genuine relationships, creating meaning beyond money. This reflection invites you to consider, what internal work are you doing alongside your external work? You remain in complete control of how you pursue and engage with wealth. You can chase it blindly and deal with consequences later, or you can pursue it intentionally, preparing for both the benefits and the challenges. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice that reading this has brought up complicated feelings, maybe excitement about possibility mixed with anxiety about responsibility, maybe desire for success mixed with fear of how it might change you or your relationship. All of those feelings are valid. Wealth is complicated. It's both blessing and burden, both freedom and responsibility. Take what resonates, discard what doesn't, trust what you know about your own values and goals. Before we close, I want to ask you something directly. What do you actually want wealth for? Not the surface answer, the real answer. What do you hope financial abundance will give you or allow you to do? Drop it in the comments if you feel ready to examine this. And what internal preparation are you doing right now for the external success you're working toward? What would change if you pursued wealth with as much intention around who you want to be as around what you want to have? You're about to be big, rich in a gated community. I can't predict that. I don't know your future. But if wealth is what you're working toward, if it's a real possibility in your life, you need to know what comes with it. The isolation, the changed relationships, the responsibility, the complexity, the identity shifts, the exposure of your character, all of it. Not to discourage you, to prepare you so that when financial abundance arrives, you can actually enjoy it, you can manage it, you can sustain it, you can use it for good. not eventually, right now, today, in how you're thinking about money and preparing for its presence in your life. Trust yourself with this. Trust that you can handle both the wealth and what comes with it if you prepare. Trust that pursuing financial abundance doesn't make you greedy or shallow if you're doing it with intention and wisdom. You don't need to apologize for wanting more. You just need to be honest about what more actually means. I'll see you in the next one. And listen, wealth is a tool. What it does in your life depends entirely on how you use it and who you are when you acquire it. Build the person first, the wealth will follow. And when it does, you'll be ready.